Right, I'm live. So where was the link? Share it. So I think it was this one. Hang on. Yeah, that's it, I think. Copy. Paste it for you here. Where's the chat? Chat. Try that, prof. Tell me if that works. I'll open up my own link as well. Yeah, it is working. I've just tested that. Yeah. It should move. Yeah, share. Yeah. It should be moving. No, we couldn't do that last time. I think it wouldn't let me because I'm live on YouTube, basically. Yeah. It should work. That's the link. You should be able to set up that thread now. It was the URL. So I've got the, I think it was just the URL. So if I press share, you've got to take off the feature share bit of the link. Yeah, that was it. It was just it's the letters, basically, is the link, like a normal YouTube video, basically, I think. And then I think that worked after that. And then all of a sudden, yeah, and then it kicked in. Yeah, no, yeah, 40, basically. Not really at all. Sure, last time that was the link I used. I think he had this problem last time, and it kicked in all of a sudden. I think. No, it's not there at the moment. Quite interesting on YouTube that you can live share as well, like a tactics board and stuff you can do, which would be pretty cool. Yeah. I don't get it. Okay. Oh, okay. All right, 44 then. Should I say 4 minutes, starting in 4 minutes? Yeah, it ended in capital Z, small o. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah. Could bottle it up. Yeah. Hopefully. I'm just gutted we didn't win, to be honest. 42. Not me either. Is there something for you to start it yourself, like within it? That feel like there was a. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I've got it now. Yeah, cool. Okay. Right. Yeah, we're live. Yeah. Hi, Cal. Hi, Sim. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, frustrating, eh? Frustrating one. Yeah. What do you guys think of the game? Very frustrating for me. It was so close. Any questions about the game, Cal, Sim? Felt like we started so well as well. Started like a house on fire. The first goal was so good. First goal was so good, and I thought, oh wow, we were in for a treat here. And then we just didn't kick on, did we? No. Couldn't get control of the game. We had that spell, I think, midway through second half. We had a decent spell of control, and then we just lost our way again. Starting to think, once it's back, struggling to think what to think of Charleston towards the end, maybe miss Harry Kane. Yeah. Yeah, he played really well, to be fair to him, but there was a couple of times where his hold-up play, he gave the ball away too quickly, and we just turned the ball over. He wasn't the only one, to be fair. We turned the ball over too quickly and just allows teams to come back onto us again, where you've got to take the sting out of the game and just carry it 20, 30 yards upfield and waste 20, 30 seconds, even if you don't create a chance, you know? We don't really do that. We haven't really got many players that can do it. And I think it does hurt us. Yeah. I mean, say about allowing teams to bully us, Sim. It does seem a bit like that. I also do think that we allowed so many, particularly first half, so many cross set pieces and corners. And if you they're probably top one or two teams in the league for set pieces. And if you let those kind of teams have that many chances like the first half, you're going to be punished. And then second half, obviously towards the end. Hi Bob, how you doing? I think we allowed them towards the end. I feel like Hill and Skip were terrible subs for Ange, because the thing is, aside from the quality, like I say, Maddison went off, but he might have been tiring, but it was the lack of physicality as well. Like Hill and Skip aren't particularly physical, are they? And it was becoming more and more of just 10 minutes, 15 minutes of carnage in the box and just trying to outmuscle us and win the ball back. And I think those subs did not help us at all, really. Even that, we got so close. And I have to say, though, that I said it in the thread as well at the time, that Van der Ven foul, it's a clear penalty, and it was 2-1. It's game. If we score that, it's game over if we get a penalty there. And we don't seem to be getting any decisions like this since the Liverpool game. Any kind of decisions like that are kind of pivotal in a game, they seem to go against us. And I mean, that Van der Ven one's a joke. He's got hold of him with both hands. Rugby tackle. I think Decky gave away a foul against someone recently. Was it against Brighton? For one like that, basically. Foul given against Decky, penalty for them. We don't get a penalty. And it's just a joke. We don't seem to get any protection from refs at all. And we don't seem to get anything in our favour. I mean, the amount of 50-50s that were fouls against us there because the crowd are up. And then, yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. Bob, it has to be midfield. I think midfield is definitely isn't right. We've not got enough control there. Benny's struggling a bit since he came back from that Villa. But he's obviously from the Villa injury. United game was really good, but apart from that, he's struggled really. And then Højbjerg is just Højbjerg. I'm just done with watching him. I mean, the amount of times he turns the ball over and puts us under pressure. There was one inside right on the midfield towards late in the game, and he just flicked the ball on the outside of his foot. It's like a 10-yard pass to Kulusevski, and he gave it straight to them. And then you're out of position because people were starting to move forward. And that was really something that happened way too much in the game. And it wasn't just Højbjerg, to be fair. Bentancur was terrible as well. He kept giving it away. And it's that frequency of turnovers that we had. We allowed them to build up steam, build up momentum, and keep breaking because we're trying to come out and they're coming straight back at us because we just turn the ball over too quickly. And I think I think we're missing Basuma, Sim. I think we're definitely missing Basuma for sure. His early season form anyway, because he was taking the sting out of attacks and kind of could hold on to the ball, could spin out of pressure, draw a foul, draw people away, and then play the ball into space. So I definitely think we're missing Basuma. It's certainly having the options as well. You know, if Basuma was coming on today, you'd feel a lot more confident. Or, to be honest, Højbjerg is better normally when he comes on as sub as well, right? But so I think midfield is definitely a bit of an issue. But we have Sar's just come back. Hopefully he'll get out to full fitness. Benny hopefully should improve. The clogger teams, DJ, I agree. And I think that part of it is being a bit more clinical when we attack and making more of the possession we do have, because we didn't get enough. We didn't turn enough into shots today. And the other part of it is game management. Our game management's really poor. It's really naive. There was a few times where, you know, the lead up to the foul for their equaliser, ball was played through to Kulusevski, got lost. Porro lost it. Then he got it back and he played down the line. Then Richie got it. Now he got the ball and he turned into trouble. At this stage of the game, just turn it out, play the ball down the line. Even if you send it 30, 40 yards down the line, turn them over, pull them back 30, 40 yards. And at worst, if we don't get the ball, everyone can come up again and we can reset. Instead, he turned into pressure, gave the ball away, and then Kulusevski makes a stupid foul. There's a shame because I thought Richarlison was really good for large parts of the game, but there was a few instances where his hold-up play was really poor in the second half. And that there was really symptomatic of what we were doing in a lot of the game, just turning into trouble, giving the ball away really quickly. And you can't turn the ball over that fast. It's just, you're just going to put yourself under so much pressure, especially away from home. So yeah, I'm really frustrated with that. Can we rattle off a few wins? Oh, yes, Des. I think we definitely can get a few wins. I think there's a few things we've got to work on to go on a run. I think one of those is getting everyone back. Obviously, Basuma, Sar's back now. Hopefully, we get Son back as quick as we can, have more options. And then the other part of it, I think, is game management stuff. And when I say game management, I don't mean like game management in the sense be defensive and just, you know, niggly fouls and break the game up and stuff. I mean, keep the ball, slow the game down, and then when gaps appear, kill the teams off on the counter attack. Like, we didn't have enough pressure at the other end to keep them away from us. It was too too staggered. We didn't put them under enough pressure in the last 10, 15 minutes to keep the ball away from our half. And so the ball kept coming back. And we've seen that a lot in the last few years, especially with Mourinho and Conte and Nuno, because that's how they play, right? They sit back, absorb, and try and absorb pressure. But with Ange, we're not really set up to try and do that. And so we need to try and keep the ball better, slow the game down, and then kill teams off, because they were throwing a lot of bodies forward and we had opportunities to cut them apart and score a third goal, I think, before they equalised. And we didn't turn those chances into opportunity, those moments into big opportunities, which was a shame. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. They play horrible football. I mean, they just pump long diagonals, long channel balls, and then just throw the ball into the box at every opportunity. But I think we didn't do enough to stop them. We didn't cut down enough how many set pieces, corners they have. We gave the ball away too easily to allow them to build up pressure again on us. So definitely things for us to work on. We can definitely go on a run. I think we're good enough. You see spells and passages of play where we're sensational still. We just need to I think some of the players are young as well, right? They need to mature and learn very quickly. Prof, is it fair or unfair to say that refs need to protect Vicario more? Yeah, both for me. Vicario needs to be a little bit more, a little bit nastier. He needs to be a bit nastier. The only thing is, knowing the way things are going for us, he'll do something, push someone out of the way, and they'll give a penalty against him. But he definitely needs to be nastier. But that said, I have to say, the foul in the Man City game and the foul today, have been free kicks my entire life watching football. They have both been free kicks. And it's like all of a sudden, since Christmas, there's a new rule in place where now it's open season on goalkeepers now. So I'm very interested to see other games, maybe today and in the coming weeks. And let's see if there's consistency. And let's see if the other keepers don't get the same protection. Because I still remember the Alisson one when Man City played Liverpool, and that was given as a foul, and there was nothing in that compared to the ones that have been not given against Vicario in the last couple of games. So let's see. But Vic definitely needs to get a bit nastier. But again, it's part of adapting to a new league, isn't it? It's Tottenham Hotspur. It's clear we're still missing some key components. Things are still new and early in the development cycle. Young players will get better, both the team and Ange's management a bit. Yeah, for sure. A lot of young players. Again, like Mickey, 22. Poro's recently 24, I think, in the last few months. Destiny's 21. Sars 21. Vic, for a goalkeeper, isn't exactly old at 27. He's new to the league. So I definitely think there's enough kind of young players there for us to learn. We need to stop allowing ourselves to be bullied. Agree. But I think it's not just a physical thing. I think, as I said before, I think a part of this is knowing how to keep the ball better. Without Ange does something which is great, right? Which is 100 mile an hour. We play at 100 mile an hour. And maybe because he's trying to drill that into them so much, we struggle to break out of that and slow the game down. But there are times where we get the ball, where we force it way too quick and we just turn it over straight away. And that's hurting us. That's allowing teams to attack us with more space and more openings because we're just starting to move up the pitch. We turn it over quick and there's gaps. Whereas if we kept the ball for a little bit longer, we pushed right up, we can box them into their half. Like we did with the first goal, we boxed them in, right? We kept the ball for a passage and then bang, we cut them open. And I think the fact we can't hold on to the ball, slow the game down, move the ball around, that is contributing to our lack of game management for me. And allowing teams like Everton to keep putting the ball on top of us and keep getting into areas, down the sides where they can then just put crosses in and try and force corners and try and force throws. So for me, the game management is part of the being bullied. It's about being smart, right? You don't just want players smashing into people because we're a technical team and we should use that. We need to be cleverer in possession and slow the game down. The best teams can play quickly, but they know. I mean, City are a great example, right? City will slow the game down. They'll wind the opposition up by just keeping the ball, moving it around, drawing them out, and then when the time's right, bang, and they go 1, 2 touch, 3 touch, bang, and they're through. So I think we need to really add that to our game. And it's not about being negative and not trying to score a goal because you are still trying to score a goal. It's just about having a little bit of nous and just thinking, let's just slow it down a little bit because they want the game to be scrappy. They want it to be really fast and bitty and the ball to be turned over quickly because that's their equaliser, right? That's how they bring the game down to their level. And we are just falling into that trap for me against both Brentford and now today, especially away from home. Away from home, if you quieten the crowd, you can really hurt teams like Everton. But we allowed the crowd to get up again because we kept giving them the ball too quickly. I think Richarlison lacks the game management. Top strikers having those situations, Cal. Yeah, well, I thought against Brentford, I thought some of his hold-up play was a lot better. I thought today's hold-up play was pretty poor at times, and especially, that last one for the equal, I'm not going to be too harsh. He scored 2 cracking goals, but that was poor. And it was an example, really, of what we were doing poorly in the game for me. The way he just lost the ball really weakly, turned into traffic when there was a simple ball down the line, as I said. Prof, thoughts on Dragusin's cameo? Yeah, it's quite physical, isn't he? I mean, I didn't think it was much in. They wanted a penalty. I mean, it was a very, very slight touch. If they'd given that and they didn't give Van der Ven, I would have been going absolutely crazy for the lack of consistency. Needs to get up to speed. It's never easy coming into a game like that away from home, especially against a physical team. He is good. He is tall. He is physical. But even then, you've kind of got to get up to the intensity of the league quite quickly, especially away from home. One thing, we're not used to playing a back 3. And maybe that's throwing us a little bit late in a game. So maybe that's something for us to work on if we are going to have that as an option. So that's, but it's hard to take too much, I think, from his cameo. Really, I think our players need to go down easier at times. It will help nullify the cloggers. They do, but they need to be clever about it and they need to make it known that it's a foul because sometimes our players go down without shielding the ball properly. And it's too easy for the ref not to give it. I think there was a couple of examples of that. What I'd like to see our players do more, especially in the wide areas, is push the ball down the line and just carry it. carry it and take it 10, 20 yards down the line and gain 10, 20 yards and then slow up, draw a defender in, try and win a free kick, try and win a foul, or then try and turn your man and go. But we didn't really do that. I think the wide players are pretty poor again today for me. Any other questions here? I'm just having a little look. The fact that, Bob, the fact we only ever seem to want to go forward is something we need to be smarter with. I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm all for attacking football and playing 100 mile an hour, but I don't think it's sustainable to just play that speed because I think you just turn the ball over too much. And like I said, maybe, listen, Ange's trying to teach them to play with a certain mindset, right? So maybe you need to go all in on it and that's your way. And then you can start to be a little bit smarter at times and kind of pull back slightly from there at certain moments in games. So again, it might be something that we learn and evolve over time. But it's definitely something we need to do because we definitely we rush too quickly, particularly later in games when we're under pressure. We rush too much. And I think it really allows teams to start breaking on us where we could just keep the ball and take the sting out of the game. Tottenham Hotspur, Nick, further to my point, the team taking all of that learning into their development. What do you think more advanced Ange ball looks like with a stronger squad? My take is teams won't be able to do all the clogging and niggling because they'd be too busy defending space. Yep. So I think, hard to know for sure, right? But I can't imagine Ange would be too happy with the lack of control throughout that game, particularly first half and again late in the game. To me, Ange ball would be also, like we're saying, taking the sting out of it and slowing teams down and drawing them in when they're getting desperate and they're pushing everyone forward to then just knock the ball in behind. But to do that, you've got to be calmer in possession. You've got to be willing to absorb pressure, take hits behind you, take pressure on behind you, spin out and play simple passes. And I feel like the last few games, our passing has been too loose and we've rushed too much. And I think when we improve that, we'll improve significantly as a team. Still fuming about the non-foul on Vic. Clear as that. Yeah, I'm the same Chicago. Look, I try and separate out how we've performed to the things I feel like may have cost us from an official point of view. And to me, there's a clear foul on Van der Ven, and it should be a penalty. And it's 2-1, and that's a potential game changer. Because if we go 3-1 up, I'm pretty confident we win. And then the foul first half, it is a foul on Vic for me. It's a free kick. And people can say it's soft, and yeah, it might be soft, but that's been a free kick since I was born in 1987, and as long as I've been watching football, it's been a free kick. Maybe in the 70s and early 80s it wasn't, but to me, Premier League football, that's always a foul. And all of a sudden, on us, it seems to be open season. Let's just do what we like and foul the goalkeeper, stand on top of him, push him, shove him, and it's fine. So I'm frustrated as well. Prof, on a positive note, how good is Van der Ven? I can't believe he's only 22. I'm running out of superlatives for him. He's an absolute monster. 22 years old. And what's really impressing me is not just how he's obviously ridiculously fast, scarily fast, but I actually think he reads the game well. So he's already kind of moving into the right positions to then use his speed. Phenomenal defender. And we've got some real talent there. And I think as they mature, we could become a real force. Amazing player. I think it's incredible scouting by the recruitment department. I think I said before, Tapsoba was my first choice, Van der Ven second choice. I thought he was a bit raw watching him for Wolfsburg. You know, I haven't watched tons of him, but I've watched him a few times, and he was a bit raw. You wouldn't know it watching him for us. Sometimes players just fit like a glove and just step up a level, and that's true for him because he has been. Or has there been a better defender than him? I think you're going to struggle to find anyone. Cal, is the lack of control also related to not having any players in the front three capable of holding the puck? Listen, yeah, I've been saying in the transfer thread, right, when we're talking about signings, and I think you saw real clear examples of this today. So just to finish your question, when it gets our front three, because we try to play them into space and they're not on their toes enough, or because they're not good enough in holding up the ball for a bit of possession, the final third. You're 1,000,000% spot on. You couldn't be more spot on. And listen, the midfield were poor, particularly in the first half. I thought we improved a bit in the second half for a spell, but first half we were really poor. But let's make no mistake about it. The three midfielders trying to play out, and all three players in attack are going away from the ball, and not once did Johnson or Werner come to the ball to help with build-up and just take the sting out of a press and just hold on to it. There was a really good example towards the end of the first half. The ball got played into Johnson on the right, and he was facing our goal, and he just stuck a foot out and he flicked it. Didn't look, just blindly flicked the ball. We gave it away, and they had possession again. He's got, as a wide player in those positions, you've got to take the ball to feet, hold your man off, and either look to just play a simple pass to a teammate and then spin out and go and give an option, or try and spin out yourself of pressure and make something happen yourself, because Everton have pushed right up there, and the space is there. If we can play it and give the ball and keep it, we can really hurt them. But Johnson and Werner, I think you've seen examples today there of how limited they are on the ball, and they just don't want to come to the ball and help in build up. So it means you're basically completely relying on your midfield three being perfect in possession every time, because the only pass really for them to play is in behind. But you can't play that pass every time. Sometimes you've got to play the ball to feet and build up, and that lack of ability to build up, play out wide, and to hold onto the ball and maybe take someone on from a standing start, or to just quickly draw someone in, play a little pass and go with a bit of technical skill. That is really hurting us. And that is when I know I went on a bit in the transfer thread. That is what I'm talking about. I think you've seen it in this game, and to a degree in the Brentford game in the first half, where you can't just play into space. It's not going to happen. You have to be capable of... Listen, players can be good at running in behind, but they've got to also be good at coming to the ball. The best players, the best attackers can do both. They aren't just good at running in behind. If that's what you've got, it's too limited and you're not going to be a top team. So to me, they can work to improve that area. Johnson, Werner's 27, he might not improve much there. But it's probably a personnel thing. You've got to mix up the personnel more and get people in. Obviously, that won't happen now for a while. But to me, that's one of the biggest things we can do to improve. It will help our game management as well. It really will. If you could play the ball out to someone who could just hold on to the ball for 4, 5, 6 seconds, draw fouls, go past people, that would really help us. And so that's something that's really frustrating me in these games. And I think it's really hurting us. Prof, how would you rate Maddison's performance? He was a critical component of our first goal, but after that did the game most passing by. I think he's a little bit rusty. Then you can definitely see there's some rustiness there. That said, he still kind of was pretty integral in a lot of the good stuff we did. I can think of that ball out to Kulusevski for that Richarlison chance, for example, where he found that pass out. And I would like to have seen him offer a little bit more in build-up, but as I just mentioned, I don't think it's just down to the midfielders. I really don't. I think it's unfair to pin it all on them. So more to come from him, a lot more to come, and to be expected, right, when you've been out for like nearly 3 months. So I'm not too worried about that. We missed him when he went off, though. We missed him when he went off, and that hurt us. 13, I've calmed down a bit now. I need to remind myself we're still so early in a rebuild. Yep, massive gaping holes in the squad still. Bench simply isn't ever strong enough. Really happy with our transfer business so far, and I hope this style of throwing games away and we have a stronger bench. I think we need some physically stronger who can hold the ball up and panic. Not even just physically stronger for me. I think it's better players that mix pace and technical ability and can just kind of, like I said, draw players out, keep the ball under pressure, spin out. I can think of some attackers that would really help us in that regard. I can imagine, someone today like Elise, for example, if he was playing for us, would have just drawn them out and gone past them and dragged 10, 20, 30 yards up the pitch and helped us retain the ball. All credit to Richie for great 2 goals today. This is Abby Flex. But it really hurts us not having a player up front who can receive the ball and win duels. Yeah, I thought he was poor in that regard. I thought a lot of his game was really good. His goals were sensational, but I thought against Brentford, his hold-up play was really good, best I've seen it. But I think today you saw that it wasn't great. And the thing is, if Richie isn't doing that part of it, he's never really going to hurt teams in behind because he's not quick enough. Whereas Son, yes, you don't expect Son to be very good at the holding people off part, but you do know that if the ball gets played into little gaps, Son will be there in behind. And And obviously, we still haven't got Son, right? If today we had Son in the squad, and even if he'd been coming on from the Asian Cup, like we'd have had Son for 15, 20 minutes, for example. You've got to feel that might have helped us get over the line, right? So I agree with you about Richie. I think he's got to do a bit more in that sense. Sim, Noose was going to be an answer to that. It's clear the club feel the same. I hope so. I do hope so. He's very young, though. Like, to ask him, for example, if he was playing today at 18 in a physical game like that, would be asking a lot. But he is the right style of player. For me, if we get Champions League football in particular, I don't think we've got that many players to sign in the summer. And I think the emphasis should switch on instead of trying to sign loads of players that we signed quite a few last summer. I think it should become about quality, like getting players that take the team from here to here. Not easy to do, but I think I've already listed quite a few wide players I think would do that. For me, I think I've made it pretty clear. I hope the club are looking. That's all I can say. I kind of get what Ange wants when he wants these forwards that can kind of play and be goal threats from out wide. But I don't think you have to have a player that's just limited in possession, but he's really good on the ball, off the ball, and making runs to score. I think you can have both in a player. I don't see why that isn't possible. I mean, the other top teams have got those kind of players, so we should be able to do that. And hopefully that's what we're aiming at. All credit to Richie. Stabilo Boss, any concerns about Bentancur's form and how he links with Maddison? Yeah, slightly. He's not been great the last 2 games, has he? Or against City, to be honest. United, he was really good. I do think with ACL injuries, you can come back and be a little bit up and down because you've been out for a long time. It's hard to just play consistently well when you've been out for almost a year, right? And on top of that, he is still kind of learning Ange's system. He hasn't had the pre-season, right, with everyone. He hasn't had that time pre-season to learn everyone's kind of style and that. And some players can come in quicker than others. So a little bit concerned, but hopefully when Basuma and Sarr come back, we've got enough options there to keep everyone on their toes and hopefully drag everyone's form up. So we'll see how it goes. But I mean, his quality, we know his quality. So, I'll kind of, in terms of his link with Maddison, I think that's just a time thing, right? Playing with each other over a number of games. Sometimes you click with someone straight away. Sometimes you need to build an understanding. So again, I think that's just something that might take a bit of time. Tottenham Hotspur, having Solomon in the squad may have helped in regards to hoofing the ball and carrying it past people, which highlights we're still winning. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's not great physically, so how good he would have coped with some of the physicality, I don't know. But he definitely, I think, would have helped take the sting out and just carry the ball upfield a little bit and cause them a bit more of a problem in possession. So it's about having those kind of players to bring on, which obviously we don't have at the moment. But I do think we need to look. I'll talk probably about transfers shortly, and that comes into the summer for me. Any questions that I've missed here? I'm just having a little look. Got to leave now. Love this after a game though. Thanks, Prof and Nick. Yeah, no worries, man. Thanks for coming. Prof, Simspur, just seeing what is this a question? A couple of younger players who the club have started to talk about viable. They were Nusa and Bergval, who we were pursuing but felt it was likely he'd choose Barca. There's another young talent that we've quietly been working on for the summer. Interesting. Thanks, Prof. That's really cool. That's interesting. I think with regards to kind of transfers, love the fact we got Bergval. Absolutely love the fact we got him. I mean, I haven't seen him play in 4 matches because I don't have access to the Swedish league, but I've watched some stuff on him. I try to watch videos if I can't watch full games where it's all their touches in the game rather than just highlight, because you don't see anything from highlights. It's just all good stuff. It looks a really talented player. More exciting is what I've read from people that I respect and analysts and scouts and the fact that Barca wanted him. City, if you look at some of the Swedish stuff, City were looking at him as well. I think something like 9 or 10 clubs the fact we've got him, I think, is a testament to where we've come from kind of last year. And I love my favourite types of signings. Those they're no risk. If it don't work out, €10 million, you've really lost nothing, and you potentially get a world class player. And I found it quite interesting that we treated it as a very big signing. It wasn't treated as kind of it's a youth player we've signed. It feels like with the build up on social media and stuff that the club did and the interviews, that it's very much this is a player that's going to go into the first team, in the squad at least, and isn't just a kind of, like when we've signed, say, Herbie James from Man City at 16 and he's gone into the youth squad. This feels a lot different. This feels like a lot of excitement. So I'm delighted with the Bergvall signing. I think he looks like he could offer a bit of control in possession as well, right? Which is something actually we've been speaking about that we don't have. Bob mentions he's been a captain in his age groups and already mentioned leadership. I think that's something we're definitely looking at with players. I think you can see it. Like Maddison's mentioned that about leadership. I think Van der Ven is a leader to me. Romero. I think even Porro, right, is really kind of passionate and vocal and really kind of takes charge. And same with Bovo. He looks very much like a leader to me. So I think that's really encouraging. So seeing if we've got another question. Sim, Prof is a little side on you are what do you think was the greatest achievement of century lace making? Nice, Sim. I'll wait for Prof maybe to come back on that one. That's not really my area. Lace making isn't really my area of expertise. I'll stick to football. Prof, your thoughts on the Werner signing? How his first couple of games are with us? I think I made it clear I didn't really want him. I wasn't very happy with it, but he has offered something. I think that's fair. Did really well for the first goal today, really well, and then disappeared out of the game for large spells, and then might have been offside. I think he probably was, but had a big opportunity, obviously, when Maddison put him in and didn't ever look like scoring. To me, very good pace, good movement, just another player that's very limited in possession, and isn't going to help you kind of break teams down that are very low, and also isn't going to help you when you need to take the sting out of a game and just kind of hold onto the ball and manipulate the ball in tighter spaces, things like that. But, it's a loan signing. We haven't spent any money. It's not easy to buy players in January, get that. So, listen, hopefully we'll get a bit more for him. He hasn't played much. So the more he plays, the better he should get performance-wise. So hopefully we'll see that. And I just have concerns about the balance in attack. I think I've mentioned that. And I think I'm seeing signs of it, to me, in games already. Clear signs. And it's what I was worried about. And hopefully we can fix it with coaching. Some of it maybe, but I think it's going to be more of a personnel thing, personally. Sim, also all our signings seem to speak perfect English. Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah. And a lot of them, I'm trying to think, like obviously Romero and Porro both speak Spanish. Romero can speak Italian, I believe, the same as Vic and Udogi. Benson Cook can speak Italian as well. So there's the communication part of it, I think, is quite important. So that's quite a good point you've made there. I think the leadership stuff and maybe the communication it shows we're maybe putting more due diligence into who we go for as well, right? Stabilo, we are giving away far too many goals. Yeah, we are. Actually reminds me a little bit of Poch's first season, 14-15, where as we got our kind of game together, kind of going to the second part of the season, we showed some real good signs in attack, but we were conceding too many. And we rectified it in the summer by moving Dyer to defensive midfield and by signing Toby at the back. I think in this team, I think it's a little bit different. I think it's more about the game management side of things. I think it's more about actually changing the way we keep the ball in attack, which will, if we hold on to the ball longer in attack, we give the opposition less time and less opportunities to attack us. And I feel at the moment it becomes a little bit ping pong with us. And that's what allows teams to, consistently come at us and means we concede goals. And then obviously on top of that, Brentford game, Udogi made 2 mistakes. He's a 21-year-old kid. It's going to happen. Danny Rose, Carl Walker made loads of mistakes when they were that young and conceded goals. and they matured naturally as part of their development and started to cut down how many mistakes they made. So I think some of it is maturity with the players' development, and I think some of it is adding certain profiles elsewhere on the pitch. I actually don't think it's directly in defence. It's maybe someone else in midfield that helps us slow the game down and keep the ball better. And also Benny getting to full fitness and form as well, I think will help there. And also adding more profiles in attack that help us keep the ball as well. I think that would help. Let me see. Bob, I do think we need to factor in how many unfamiliar with each other the team are from the last two games. Yeah, that's fair. Definitely fair. And we have to, I think we all got carried away, right, with that start we made. We're thinking it was so good that we were like beyond any expectations we had. But realistically, we are in our first season. We're going to have dips. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have games where we don't play that great. We're frustrating. And we have to accept that, right? We're in the first season. I think the fact that we did so well to start with, we just have to keep our expectations in check. We've got a good team. We've got a great coach. But we still have a lot to learn. I think we can all see where we need to learn. And if we don't see any improvement in those specific areas going into next season as we develop, then I think it's fair to then have some concerns. But at this stage, very early days, and some of the quality of our play in certain passages and certain spells is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that first goal was just out of this world, and I think that will become more and more frequent the longer we have Andrew's manager and the more we build on what we've got. So yeah, we've got to stop giving away too many goals. Vic has to learn to be a bit stronger, a bit nastier, as I said earlier. I think that will help with some of those set pieces. And hopefully we can improve. Coming back to the transfer window. So there was a thread about kind of which signing was your favourite. I said Dragusin was probably the most important because we desperately needed another centre-back. I'll stand by that. Very excited by Bergvall, as I mentioned. And Werner, obviously, as Prof said, as a loan signing, very cheap option as well. You can't really lose anything. It's hard to find players in Jan. So I think it feels to me like the club have a lot more of a plan in place, and we feel a lot calmer when we're kind of building our plans and looking at who we recruit. So I'm really encouraged by that, and I'm hoping we've got another really clear plan in place. What's the next step for the summer? Have you guys got any areas of the team moving into the summer? Anyone you think we desperately need to move on? Anyone any individual players out there that you kind of think, yeah, that is a Spurs player, we should sign him for this team. It will make a massive difference to us. Anyone in mind from anyone watching? Be interested to know. I think I've made pretty clear who I would go for. I'm not going to repeat it too much. Wingers for me, but that is what I would go for. I'd be interested to see if there's anyone out there with any individuals they're looking at thinking, yeah, would they fit? And I'll give you my view on how I think they'd fit into Angie's system. I think a backup left back. I think I meant to post the link earlier today. I think that's an important one because I think Davies is better as a centre back in this system. And it'd be good to give Udogie someone that we can rotate as well, that's naturally left-footed. Just wait and see if there's anyone here with any. Oh, there's another question here from Spurrett. I'll answer that first while we wait. I thought second half was improved. Defending corners we started blocking their blocker. Yeah, we did improve a bit. Spurrett. And I think we also had a bit more control in midfield for a spell in the second half. I think that reduced the amount of set pieces and opportunities for set pieces they were able to generate until the last kind of 10 minutes. They just started pumping it. And unfortunately for us, we hadn't killed the game off. And listen, away from home, you're always at threat if you only have a 1-goal lead, especially against a team that's going to pump the ball into the box constantly and play that nasty dinosaur football, as I call it. Chicago, does it seem obvious to you that Johnson can't play 90 minutes of required intensity? He seems he really falls off in the second half. I thought he was poor first half as well. He was on his heels constantly. There was about 4 or 5 times where the ball was played to him and he was on his heels waiting. Defender came in, took it off him before he was even moving. And there was one pass Porro played to him down the right channel where Mikalenko read it far quicker than him. He should have already been on the run. He would have been in behind him. He needs to deliver a lot more in possession in particular. He does fall off a bit, but I didn't think he was great all game today. I think he had a poor one. Sim, we need to improve on Højbjerg and Skippy, that's for sure. Højbjerg is driving me bonkers because he'll have a spell where he does all right, and you think, yeah, well done, yeah, and then he'll just do something crazy, or he'll have a spell where he then just starts giving it away constantly, and he doesn't allow you to control games. I just don't think he can be relied upon to control games with Højbjerg. Skip is more of a 6. He constantly gets played as an 8. I don't think he's good enough as an 8. I wouldn't play him as an 8. I wouldn't have him in the squad probably as an 8. If we're not going to play him as a 6, I'd probably move him on for his own good. As much as I loved him, obviously, as a player, watching him from the academy. So that's my thoughts there. I think we could do one more controller in midfield. Maybe that's where they see Bergvall helping as well, because he looks very calm in possession. Chicago, I'm with you about Nico Williams. Would love him. That's the one for me. That's the one. It's £43 million release clause. It's a lot of money. There will be competition for him. Get Ange on the blower to him. And listen, yeah, we know what happens when Ange gets on the phone. He's ours. You know, I think that's the level that we need to go for if we want to go from here to here. Because it's hard to find your Van der Vens that are just going to come in and be superstars all the time. And I think you need to supplement some of the younger signings. I mean, Nico Williams is only 21 himself, right? He's nowhere near the finished article. But I think you need to supplement those kind of 18, 19, 20-year-old signings that maybe need a year or two to develop with a quality player that comes in. And he's not 60, 70 million pounds either. So I'm with the club. I don't think we should be looking at a 60, 70 million pound category necessarily. But I think the £40 million mark, 45. I mean, we spent £47.5 million on Brennan Johnson. And this is just my opinion. But Nico Williams is a far better player, a far more rounded player than Brennan Johnson. Now, Johnson's got the homegrown tax and the fact he played in the Premier League. So I take that into account. But 43 million quid to me in today's market with the level of player he is and the skill set that he would offer us, I would be going, that would be my number one. I would go all out for him personally and think that's the level of kind of player that we need. Bob, we need someone who can either improve on Richie or be an option off the bench. It's really tough, this, because when we're looking at the kind of attacking options, it depends where you see Son playing long term. And I come back to something I think I mentioned in the last video. Son is going to be 32 in July. Now, when you're playing out wide, the amount of running we do, you're asking an awful lot of him intensity-wise to play out wide. He's never been great on the touchline. He's not really particularly skillful in tight areas with the ball. He's better at running in behind. So I think you've either got to have Son, Richie, and maybe Valise as your strikers. And Valise is your option then when he's developed enough for another 6 months, hopefully, is that other target man type option that you've got there on the bench that gives you, okay, if you need hold up play in this game, he can come on and absorb pressure, right? And to hold the ball up for you. And then have Son as your kind of other option up front. And, or for me, you probably sell Richie and replace him with someone. But he's scoring a lot of goals at the moment. He's playing a lot better. So I want to see how he does to the end of the season before we do that, right? I think because the single most vital thing for me in attack isn't a striker at the moment. I think it's wide players more than anything else. That's my personal opinion. I know I'm not alone. I know a lot of the analysts that are watching us think the same. I'd be surprised if the club aren't thinking similar. I'd be disappointed and surprised. Spurrett, in my whole Spurs sport life, I've never dealt with long balls in behind. Lol. Yeah. I'm trying to think what we were like under Poch, actually. I mean, yeah, we were susceptible even under Poch, weren't we, really, to corners and stuff. The thing is, with nature, when you're a good team and you're trying to play football, that kind of dinosaur style, kind of just chuck balls in the box, you're always going to be susceptible to it because you've got more footballers in your team. And we can't all be like Man City or, you know, the billionaire Tony Pulis, Pep Guardiola, who just builds his teams with, 6'5" players everywhere that he just puts on to play 8 centre backs towards the end of games and just stop set pieces, for example, like he does. But I think you can you can manage it better if you keep the ball better. And I think that's the part we don't do well enough at the moment. Sim, I think both Johnson and Højbjerg have looked more effective at what they do when they come from the bench. Yeah, I agree. I think they've both looked better when they've come off the bench. Pemba, Højbjerg was great in the 6-1 at Old Trafford, and that's been it. He's had some good games beyond that. I'm not a big fan, but he's had some good games. But I think we can do better. And I think we're looking to do better. I think that's pretty clear. But obviously, that's one for the summer now. Bob, Son's hold-up play is fairly dreadful, isn't it? His hold-up play isn't great, but what I'm saying is if you've got Valise there as a third option, then if you need if the hold-up play becomes a massive part of that particular game that you're in, then you can put Valise on. But if you maybe need to exploit spaces that teams are leaving and you haven't started Son in a game, Son's your man to come on and exploit those spaces, because then you can play the ball in behind and get the ball down the side and then across to him quickly. And his pace will threaten the centre-backs and draw them back, and they won't be able to step up as easily. So that's what I mean, really, by having maybe Valise as the third option. Because if you're saying that Son is a wide player, then then we're restricting what we can do in the summer, because we've got, if we sign Werner permanently, which we may not do, I take that. But if we've got Son, Werner, and say Solomon, we're not going to sign a wide left player, are we? And that for me is the biggest position we need to find someone. And the Noosa link kind of makes me feel maybe we are thinking that as well as a club. But that's where I'm coming from with that. But I agree, Richie's hold-up play today was poor. Son's isn't great. So you do need potentially another option there. I think that's where maybe Valise. I think Valise looked quite useful for his injury, and it's good for him to get games. But like today, I think we could have used him. Today. So a little bit disappointing that he wasn't there, really. Yeah. Is there any other questions about the game? Any about transfers to the summer? Any individuals? Let me have a look. I've got another one. You've posted a lot about which players and positions you'd like us to target next summer. However, who are the 3 players you would most like us to sell? That's from Prof. Højbjerg. I'm just going through our squad. Højbjerg, yes, definitely. I don't think Hill's gonna make it, so I would move on Hill for a better quality wide player instead of him in the squad. So Hill. We've got the ones on loan that are kind of like Reguilon and Dombele, that they're gone as far as I'm concerned already. So beyond those, probably Højbjerg, Hill, Sessegnon. I don't think Sessegnon's worth the time because he's just constantly injured. Maybe Gio as well. Like, I love Gio, but if he's not going to be fit and he's going to be constantly injured, then you need someone that's available. I'd rather play and develop Alfie Devine, for example, even if his starting level is lower, if he's going to be available all the games and he's going to learn and develop as a player. And I am a massive fan of Gio, but you have to have players that are available, and I'm really torn on that. But so Højbjerg and Hill for sure. I mean, elsewhere, I think we're pretty cool, right? We just need to add to what we've got, I think. I would move Son to striker and have Son, Richarlison, Valise. And then I'd have, if we're going to sign Werner, have Werner as a backup with Solomon as someone who's the kind of third choice on both sides that can cover both flanks, because you need an extra when you're playing Champions League, if we're playing Champions League or Europa League, I think. And then I'd go for a starting winger on the left, and then maybe move Kulusevski into midfield permanently and go for a starting player on the right as well. That's what I would do with. But in terms of selling, Højbjerg, I think it's a pretty simple one. Hill, and then Sessegnon or Gio, I think you can make a case for either. And they're both, in terms of quality, Gio's a far better player than Sessegnon, but in terms of injuries, they're both the same in terms of reliability. Let's see if there's any others I've got here. Prof, from what you've seen so far, what areas of team game management does Ange need to improve? Coaching the team on how to slow the game down, as I said. And I think, it's hard to pick it. Like, I think he made mistakes with the subs today, but that's like an individual game. I don't think he makes mistakes all the time with subs, because I think in certain games he's made really good subs and they've helped. So that can happen with any manager. If you don't win the game, manager made a mistake. You can't, as a manager, you only get universal praise if you won the game, right? So if he's got a stronger squad, the frequency of his good subs will improve because he's got better players to bring on. So if instead of bringing Hill on today, we had everyone available and he was bringing Werner on or Son on, well, we're going to be a better team, aren't we, if he's doing that? So I think from a team perspective, it's knowing how to slow the game down and how to be mature with decision-making, keep possession, and really frustrate the opponents by keeping the ball. And that's what Man City do better than anyone else, but also Liverpool are good at it and Arsenal are better at it than we are as well. Arsenal are better at it, although they had some problems against Forest the other day, to be fair. Bob, do we have enough goals in any of our midfield three options? In fact, outside of Son, Richie, the other forward option are lacking a goal scorer. So I agree we need to bring in a player who can score from a wide area. I think Benny can score goals from midfield. I think he's just off form. I think he'll get through it. From what I've seen of Bergvall, I think he could score some goals as well. I think Sarr can develop and score more goals. I'd like to see Kulusevski playing midfield a bit more and be rotated when Maddison comes off. Like Kulusevski goes into midfield, but we need more out wide to do that. I think Kulusevski could score goals from midfield as well. But yes, I agree. We need more goals from a wide area. But that is kind of one of the hardest things to find. We have been blessed with Son for such a long time, and it's such a hard thing to find goals from wide areas. If you look like through the league, there's not that many that are kind of double-figure goal scorers from out wide, and that's what you're kind of looking for. I mean, like the players I like for the wide areas. So I'll give you Nico Williams as an example. He isn't really a goal scorer yet. You're probably looking at maybe 5, 6, 7 goals from him. He needs to get to double figures, but he's 21. I think the skill set he offers would give us a more rounded team that would provide the team with more opportunities to score goals as a whole. And so I think everyone would score more goals because of a player like that being in the team. That's where I come from. And then obviously outside of that, players develop individually to score more. And the same on the other side. Some of the players we've been looked at, and players I've mentioned, Bakayoko doesn't score loads at the moment, but I think his skill set would offer more goals in general to the team. Or we go for someone like Elise, for example, who is starting to show an eye for goal. Kudus is a bit of a miss. I was mentioning last night, actually, Mohamed Kudus at West Ham. I wasn't sure if he could play wide, but actually watching him play, I think he would have been fine. And he is a goal scorer. And you get those, but they're like gold dust, wide players that can score goals like that. So that's kind of probably why he's looking at Werner and Johnson, but I don't think they offer enough all round at the moment. And they're not scoring that many goals. So it's like if they were scoring loads of goals every game, then you'd be like, okay, they don't offer much in possession, but they do score a lot of goals. So that's fine. But for me, they don't offer enough there. So I'd keep Skip. Yes, I'd keep Skip as the third choice holding player. He's a homegrown option. You can't just discard those. And I think if he was just as a 6 option coming in, he wouldn't get massive game time, but he's still a decent option there because you'd be talking, say, if you've got, I don't know, Bissouma and Bentancur as your main 6s and then Skip's the third choice, then I think that's fine. You're not going to get many better third choice players in that position than Skippy. AGM. Gio and Ezzy left on a year left on his contract. I don't think we could justify giving him a new deal, so summer's time to cash in. Yeah, I think that's fair. I said, I'm a big fan of Gio. I'm a big fan of Gio. I think we've seen some glimpses of how good he could be for Ange, but it's just constantly getting injured. And it's so frustrating because he's a really good player. And I think he'd help. Like today, he would have made a massive difference coming on. If he was coming on for Maddison, his ability to keep possession and to draw fouls and to play out of pressure would have helped us a lot. And again, he's injured, so it's really frustrating for me. Yeah. So a few minutes left here, guys. So big thanks to everyone for joining. Have I missed anything from anyone? Sim saying the same for me, same as PH, too inconsistent during games. Yeah, but Skip is younger, so he's got more room to develop. And also, again, as I said, he's the third choice. And who are we realistically going to get that's better third choice? It's not that easy to find players like that. Bob, Gallagher. I'm not a huge fan of Gallagher. I don't think Gallagher improves us in midfield in the areas I think we need to improve in possession. And in terms of scoring goals, he's had one good season scoring goals for Palace. But outside of that, he hasn't scored many. I mean, I think Sar's outscored him this season. So I'm not a big fan of Gallagher. I actually prefer the look of Edison from Atlanta, what I've seen of him, and he's better defensively as well. Why do I think Andrew started going back three at late? Seems to hurt us as far as holding on to the ball, Chicago. I think part of it is we're a little bit limited in terms of attacking options. So we've got no Son, we've had no Sar or Basuma. So we've had less options. And then maybe just feels like we're not doing enough to kill the game off. And so he's seeing how we cope with a back three and how it works. I actually wondered whether he might do it and was posing it as a question earlier, I think, today in the match thread. But it didn't help us, did it really? It just put more pressure on us. But to be fair, we also weren't keeping the ball in midfield before that. So it wasn't as if we completely lost everything in midfield. I think the real mistake was Hill and Skip coming on, cost us control that we'd started to gain. So yeah, it's an option, isn't it? And you have to try these things and see how they work. And he might try it for a few games and then stop doing it because he thinks, no, actually, that's not working. You have to do that as a coach. You have to do that. You have to learn and see how these things work in terms of like the chemistry of Dragusin coming on and going to the back three. But it hasn't really helped us too much so far. No, I agree. I actually wonder whether he might push Romero into midfield, into the 6 role, because he's good on the ball later in games. I wonder if that might be a slight tactical tweak he might do, where he puts Dragusin with Van de Ven and just puts Romero just ahead of them rather than a flat 3. Because Romero is good on the ball generally and might be able to kind of calm us down a little bit there. So that's one thing to maybe try. I just want to check I've missed no questions here. I think that's kind of everything, guys. I think Dragusin was very physical at times, a quick coast. He does play on the edge a bit like that. I think he might give away a few fouls and might give away a penalty or so as well while he adjusts. Very physical. That said, I didn't think there was much in the 2 kind of incidents because there was nothing compared to the Van de Ven one, which was a clear penalty to me. So once again, in a game this season, since the Liverpool game, we don't really get much off the officials, do we? I think there was a clear penalty on Van de Ven. I think it's a foul on Vic. But overall, not a great performance. Started really well. Good little period in the second half where I feel we got a bit more control, but we didn't do enough to kill the game off. And I felt they were always in the game. Even if they weren't creating loads, I felt like we were gifting them too much momentum and allowing them to throw too many balls into the box. And in the end, unfortunately, punished. But listen, it's a point away from home. It's not a terrible result. As long as we can, do the job at home against, I think we've got Brighton up next, I think, at home. We've got to go and win that. And, Goodison isn't a great place for us. I think the last couple of years, I think we've drawn, haven't we, last few times? Bob, time for another Coy's 5-a-side game. 5-a-side, go on, Bob. Let me see. All right, we've got 30 seconds, guys. So I'm just going to wrap it up now. So thank you very much for another one of these. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope everyone has kind of vented a little bit, calmed down. As you can imagine, I was not too happy at the end. I was jumping up and down, going crazy that we'd thrown that away. But it is what it is. It's a point. We're still early in our development, and I think there's a lot more to come from us. And hopefully we can do the business next week and kick on. And listen, we're still in a good position in the league. It's a point away from home. We haven't lost a game, and I do think that's important. We haven't lost away from home. We draw. We go into the next match, try and get a win. I hope everyone has a good weekend, guys. And result, leave my household happy. Hopefully, yep. See you later, guys. Nice one. See you on the next one. Cheers, guys. Come on, you Spurs.